It's recorded.
I'd like to call the Plaquemines Parish Council Audit Committee meeting for April 10th, 2025 to order at 9:30 a.m. The machines are open for roll call. All three members are present. At this time, we'll stand for the pledge led by Mr. Jurcic.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item, please.
2, new business, review of the Water Department audit.
Mr. Duke, yeah.
Under audit conclusions and other comments, the administration should promptly report theft, fraud, waste, and abuse to the Internal Audit Department for investigation. The Water Department should have a written policy and procedure manual in place. The administration should purchase a top-of-the-line Water Department billing system that will last and meet the Water Department's needs. Fraud and theft preventive controls should be a part of the billing system. The Water Department users should have input on the purchase of the billing system. Independent consultant for Infomark states the new utility system should be interfaced or integrated with the parish financial system to provide an accurate real-time, accurate real-time data at the general ledger level, especially with the parish utilizing fund accounting or pooled cash. This integration also provides additional security and auditing to identify and report any financial issues. Based upon the audited documents and audit procedures performed, it appears that the Water Department computer fraud and theft was limited to one instance as noted in finding number 1. Based upon the audited documents and procedures performed, it appears Water Department's cash theft was limited to instances as noted in findings number 2 and 3. Internal control recommendations for improvement are stated in findings 1 and 3 and observations 1 through 6. Next page, findings and observations. Finding number 1, computer fraud and cash theft. Criteria: Plaquemines Parish Government, PPG, upholds a zero-tolerance approach regarding fraud, theft, and corruption. The company will identify and promptly investigate any suspected fraudulent or related dishonest activity against PPG or other parties with whom the organization has dealings. PPG will take appropriate disciplinary and legal actions to include the possibility of termination of employment, restitution, and forwarding information to the appropriate authorities for prosecution. Conditions. On November 7, 2024, Ms. Kathy Huff, Customer Service Supervisor, Plaquemines Parish Water Department, Billings and Collections, sent an email regarding employee computer fraud to Mr. Robert Morgan, Jr., Manager of Infomark. The email states that the Water Department employee, Ms. Jurwich, went to the Water Department billing system and exempted her own water bill from getting penalties and shut-off fees. Additional information was noted in Section 6, pages 16 through 20. The fraud triangle, as you can see, most fraudsters have an opportunity to commit the fraud. They have incentive, monetary, or whatnot to commit the fraud, and they rationalize it in their own minds that they either deserve this or for some reason they deserve to commit the fraud. through their own way of thinking. The internal auditor and the independent consultant for Infomark reviewed the audit logs for employees that worked in the water department during the last 3 years and found no additional fraud or theft issues. Attachment 1, Section 6, Audit Analysis and Information, Table 1, page 18. Cause: Water Department employee had access rights to the billings computer system to make changes to her own account. Exposure: $8.28 of late fees and $60 of disconnect fees. Additional information on that is in attachments K and B. Internal auditor recommendations: the administration should again promptly report this for investigation to the Internal Audit Department. Water Department and Infomark employees should not have access rights to make these changes. 99% of all entity fraud and thefts are found due to a whistleblower telling the auditor and investigator what happened and where to look. Same thing happened here. Management response: Director of Public Service states, Mr. Morgan informed me of the finding and we both agree the Sheriff's Office should be contacted. Infomark manager states, Mr. Morgan, Infomark has implemented policies to prevent, or controls to prevent similar situations. Independent consultant states, this is a limitation that most systems have. I agree. However, new systems do provide an enhanced capability with reporting, and a new process should be developed with a new information system to ensure management is viewing changes by the CSRs. Finding number 2, cash and theft. Same criteria applies. Conditions: fraud and theft instances. On May 20th, 24, location number 108-20055, a cash deposit of $75 and $20 for an administrative tap fee was accepted by the Water Department. May 21st, 2024, Jennifer Jerwish entered partial information from the application into the billing system at 4:02 p.m. The internal auditor traced the customer receipts to the Water Department billing system and found that the deposit administrative fee had not been entered, therefore not deposited into the bank. The money was missing. On May 21st, 2024, location 106-03920, cash deposit of $75 and $20 for a tap fee was accepted again by the Water Department on May 21st, 2024. Jennifer Jerwish entered partial information again from the application to the billing system at 4:15 p.m. The internal auditor traced these to the billing system and found that the deposit administrator had not been entered, therefore not deposited to the bank, and the money was missing. May 22, 2024, a cash deposit of $125 and $650 for an administrative tap fee was accepted by the Water Department. Again, the internal auditor traced the customer receipts to the Water Department and found that a deposit administrative fee had not been entered. These issues appear to have been reported to the administration on or around May 30th of 2024. The internal auditor reviewed a random sample of the Water Department's customer cash received during the months of January through June of 2024. The internal auditor traced the customer receipts to the Water Department billing system and found that the cash received was accounted for and deposited into the bank. Number 3, see Section 6, page 2026. Also, let's see, so Section 6, Audit Analysis Information, Table 2, page 22. Cause: the Water Department cash policy. Exposure: $965. Internal auditor recommendations: again, this should have been reported promptly to the Internal Audit Department for investigation. The Internal Audit Report dated February 29, 2019, observation number 2, recommended the elimination of the Water Department's cash policy. Again, the Internal Audit Report dated April 9, 2024, stated that the Water Department's collection of cash was still a high-risk issue and recommended additional internal controls over cash. As of July 1st, 2024, the Water Department doesn't accept cash. Management response, Director of Public Service states he performed an operation and investigation along with Ms. Angela Bartholomew and found no definite evidence of implicating anyone specific with the theft. Director of Administration states after the administration became aware of the cash handling issues with the department, no cash acceptance policy was implemented. Infomark states they have put in place controls to prevent similar situations. Finding number 3, cash theft. Same criteria applies. Conditions. It appears that on March 18, 2024, a customer sent to the Water Department a cash payment of $55 by mail for a $20 administrative fee and a $35 deposit, along with a customer application. It appears the customer cash of $55 and the customer application was put into the Water Department lockbox. Later, the lockbox was opened and the cash and application were missing. The customer made another payment by check of $125 sent on April 17th, 2024, and it appears that the customer paid the Water Department $180, $125 plus the $55, less a $20 administrative fee, which is not reimbursable, totaling $160. Based upon this information, the customer could have an overpayment of $35, which is $160 minus $125 that he owed is $35. Internal auditor noted that the customer's payment made on April 17, 2024, $125 was posted to the wrong customer account. 4. See Section 6, pages 26 through 28. Cause, inadequate security over the Water Department lockbox, error entering customer information into the billing system. Exposure, $55. Internal audit recommendations. Again, this should have been reported to the Internal Audit Department for investigation. The customer may be due a refund for $35. Director of Service states he had no knowledge of this incident. Again, the Informatic Manager had put in place controls to prevent similar situations. Independent consultant states, which is very good, along with new system that can provide reporting tools to identify which accounts are worked in error. Recommendation for recorded security cameras. I think that's very good, capturing who enters and leaves the customer service window, since cameras at the window capturing both the customer and the customer service rep should be installed. Only senior management should have access to this information.
All right.
Observation number 1, missing
Wait,
deposits.
Hold on. Let's stop here after the findings. Y'all got any questions? I mean, I do, but I'll let y'all go first. Well, no, y'all go first, because I'm looking at other things. You got questions?
No.
You got questions? Okay. So, I guess I'll do all the questions. This is going to be a little bit different meeting since Mr. DeMarco's here. And I got questions more for him. What is the status of the new software? Can you please, Mike? Yeah. Because some of these issues. All right, well, you're on.
Myself and Infomark met with Charlie, their consultant, maybe 2 weeks ago to review some preliminary quotes from 3 different software vendors. And I asked them to go back to the vendors to get a more solid quote. We'll review those with the water billing supervisor, Kathy, more thoroughly to pick the best software.
Okay. So, timeline, what are we thinking?
It's going to be a few months. It's going to be a few months, but we are moving forward since the council did budget for a new software.
Okay. So, Mr. Duke, reading some of these findings, were there any internal controls over, changes to customer accounts, not even dealing with employee accounts, but customer accounts in general?
Controls in place.
Can you speak into Mike?
The controls were in place, but they were not working properly.
Okay.
Catch this.
Have they come back to you with the new controls to?
Yes, they have. I'm reviewing those.
Okay. What about the cash collections? This is, I get it. It's a you sampled it, so that it could be more. We don't know, but it's a random
I
sample.
doubt that very seriously. So.
Yeah, but my thing is, the problem I have is the public in general has an issue with water department.
Sure.
And this
Had
just
issues with the water department as well.
this just goes to add to the complete, I'm going to be honest, distrust in our water department, and there was nothing done. When was anybody, let's start with this. When was anybody outside of the water department notified of potential issues? Do we have a date on that?
Nobody was. I think it's probably, I think my report says May 30th, doesn't it?
Okay.
I read my report, it's pretty clear, and I think it said May 30th. Administration was aware of it
So-
on May 30th,
Why was,
okay? I was not made aware of this until December 9th
correct, and
of last year.
we brought this to you.
December 9th of
Based
last
on
year,
information we
10 o'clock
obtained.
a.m. in the morning.
So let's follow up there. Why, I'm going to ask this to either one of the directors, why wasn't council/internal audit made aware of potential fraud and theft and all this if y'all were made aware in May? Because this is the whole point of an internal auditor, is to investigate and recommend changes where we don't have this again.
There were no, to my knowledge, there were no incidents, and I think Mr. Duke has that in his report. There were no incidents brought to my attention until May, I think May 30th, he says. I and myself and Miss Angela Bartholomew looked into the situation. I found no evidence pointing specifically to any one particular person that implicated them in any theft. Obviously, some funds were missing, but at the time, we were in the middle of a transition from to Infomark taking over the water billing department. The department was grossly understaffed. I had two people out on medical leave. I'm sorry, one and another that frequently missed for medical reasons. So we were down to almost 50% of a staff, and I felt that we were just trying to get through this transition phase without that department completely falling apart. We tried to hold it together as best we could to get the billing done in a timely manner.
Okay. I mean,
And that this, in my opinion, this just further enforces the reason why we wanted to.
oh yeah, I agree.
Outsource it.
That's why the council agreed to outsource.
Right,
it.
correct,
We knew
correct.
there was issues, but if we need to be made aware, or at least the internal auditor made aware of first instance of potential fraud or theft, because that is why he is employed for us. And like he said, 99%, and I know this for a fact because of what I do, 99% of frauds and thefts is due to whistleblower. And this is how this whole audit started, was we were made aware after the transition that there was issues.
Right.
And now we're finding out stuff happened with late payments, cash deposit went missing, tap fees, another payment by check, overcharging customers, or possibly overcharging customers. So that's the concerning part. And to be fair, the port got in trouble on this not the same exact issue, but not reporting stuff to the internal auditor when they were made aware. So we have to utilize the internal auditor because that's what he's there for.
Yes, sir.
So next time, hopefully there is not next time, let's rephrase that. If something should come up again, please tell one of us three or Mr. Duke, and we will add it to the calendar and do a thing. Because again, this went on at least, I mean, y'all were made aware May 30th of 24. Also, it happened prior to that. So this could have been going on for 4 or 5 months by the time we were made aware and we put Mr. Duke on the case. So next time, again, hopefully not next time, but and
Let's hope
hopefully the
there's not.
software system fixes that. What is the status of, I know the employee was terminated. Do we know where that stands outside of us?
I will, as far as I know, it's with the DA's office now, and I will follow up on that case.
Okay. Mr. Jersich.
Yes, I tend to agree with, Mr. Schultz. When we found out about this in December, we went straight to Mr. Duke. We had to protect ourselves.
Yes, sir.
We're part of this. I really think when y'all found out, y'all should have went straight to this man, because holding on to this, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. So, as soon as we got wind of it, we turned it over to him. And then when we found out that y'all possibly knew way back in May or June, it was like, why wasn't it reported? So we got to do a better job with that.
And I want to add to it, because based on your comment, and I'm not trying to put you down or anything, so don't take it that way, but basically your management response, I performed an investigation along with Angela and found no evidence implicating anyone of theft. But that's what he's trained to do. He has this certified internal auditor certification, all this. That's why he's here, because he obviously found theft, tracing it back to somebody. So I get that you looked into it, but next time, please turn it over to him, because like Mitch said, this makes us all, administration, council, even council members that aren't on the audit committee, look like, oh, we know it was a complete chaos, but we didn't know there was theft going on and changing accounts and all this other stuff. We need to be made aware of that, because if we weren't ever told, how long would this have gone on? Luckily, Infomark had their external person look into it, and basically that's how we became aware of it. But if we would have known back in May, we could have had Duke look into this even before the transition, because I think the transition started, August range, I think? September, I think, is when we finally...
The official transition was September. I think the council approved the transition
A little bit earlier,
July, August, maybe.
But if we could have been on top of this before, then it would have saved a lot more time on the back end. We could have caught it a lot sooner, possibly, again. So
Possibly. At the time, we were down to about 50% staff, and we were just trying to hold it together and have the billing done on time. There was a lot of tension in the department. No excuse for not turning it over to Mr. Duke, but we were really just trying to hold that department together to get through the transition.
okay, Mr. Newsom.
Yes, Mr. Duke, so in some of your comments some of the Infomark comments, have you reviewed the SOPs that Infomark has in place?
To me, a few days ago, I'm in a process of reviewing it.
Okay, so you're still in the process.
There's some issues with, he sent me one copy of an SOP, but what I asked him for was copies of his controls that he's stating he put in place for each one of my findings and observations.
Okay, that was my...
He sent me an overall,
That's kind of where my
overall
question was
policy
going.
but I think I need a little more detail.
Okay, and that's where I was going. Or in your opinion, but you still need, you're saying you don't have more. Would the SOPs, with the standard operating procedures, be in place, would be as effective efficient to this does not happen again. And I understand that you said you don't have all the information yet, so
He
I'm
has to
still,
really look at his controls that he's putting in place, preventive controls.
right, because
See if they do the job or not.
as
If they
we've all
don't,
come to
then
the,
I'll get back to him and say, hey, Mr. Morgan, I think we need to beef this up a little bit.
okay, and as we've all come to the conclusion that we want to kind of try to stop this and do
I really
it.
think, and I'm not being mean either, I think that all of this, I've had some issues with transparency over the years. Okay? And I really think that we need to establish possibly either a resolution, and this is for your all's sake, for down the road, maybe a resolution or ordinance that clearly states that the Internal Audit Department has to be notified of all situations that could make the parish look bad, that could cause a bad event to the parish.
Well, that's not a problem.
I really think that needs to
We
be
can hand,
done.
that can be,
And also, we need to work, internal controls start, there's something called tone at the top. And it has to start at the top or the internal process will never work. It'll always, and the citizens, I think, of this parish, they expect, the reason we telecast these is because they want transparency, correct?
yes, sir.
They want to know everything that's going on. And the fact that they don't know what's going on is a big problem.
Well,
It
especially
has
when
to be
it-
fixed.
especially when it,
Or going forward, it's going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And this has not been going on just with this administration. I've had problems since I've been here with communication, transparency. I can't say anymore.
yes. You all correct on that state. I see one of your findings was back in 2019, you made a recommendation of the cash, and that's a few years back, and
Let's
it's,
talk about
and we just,
recommendations as well, sir. Let's talk about them. Recommendations, I make recommendations on the basis that I'm trying to prevent a bad event happening to the parish. If management decides they're just not going to look at my recommendation or they don't want to put it in place, they're accepting the risk that something bad is going to happen to the parish. They just accept it, and they're not going to worry about it until something bad happens like this. Okay? So I'm not scolding anybody. I'm just telling you that this is an issue that should be resolved for this parish
well,
or going forward.
correct. Well, one of your recommendations of the cash is now in place, and I don't know the exact date of when we stopped accepting cash, but it is.
July 1st.
July 1st, okay. So that is a one recommendation we started, so.
And that goes back to, because I don't know about y'all, but I got some questions when the signs popped up, no more cash, which I was fine with that. I explained to people based on really cash is trying to be phased out. But that was a direct result of this. But we didn't know. The internal auditor did not know that July 1st, we made a policy change for the parish because of basically the theft. But we didn't know until December. You know what I'm saying? That it makes us all look like, oh yeah, because the policy change, we had I had 2 or 3 older customers call. Well, I paid with cash, blah, blah. I'm like, governments in general are trying to get, businesses in general are trying to get away from cash because of potential issues like this. But at the time, I didn't even know it had anything to do with this. And that's just goes back to, it makes us all as a parish, administration, council, audit committee look bad or complicit or whatever the word you want to use. All right, let's continue with, are you done?
Yes, sir.
Let's continue with the observations.
Okay. Observation number 1, missing deposits. December 18, 2024, the internal auditor interviewed Miss Angela Bartholomew. She stated to me that during May of 2024 that she accidentally put 4 deposit envelopes into a mail bag of disconnect letters that were sent to and mailed out by the post office. The 3 of 4 envelopes, 3 of the 4 that didn't have cash, of course, were returned to the water department. The 4th envelope, which contained cash in the amount of $715.67, was not returned to the water department. Miss Bartholomew told me that she had made a mistake, takes full responsibility for this, and she paid the money back, $750.67 out of her own. She also discussed this with the finance department. The deposit ticket is seen on, I believe, section 6, page 29. Okay, management, the administration says this should have been, deposit issues of this nature should have been reported to me so I could look into it. The Director of Administration states, realizing this incident, Miss Bartholomew promptly reported the matter to the administration, and she took full responsibility. She then met with the finance department to resolve the issue. Additionally, Angie was instructed that all future deposits be placed in a bag, a deposit bag, a bank deposit bag, rather than an envelope. That's a good control. Director of Public Service had no knowledge of this incident. Now, this is interesting. Finance Department states, here we go again, deposits should always be placed in a designated bank bag. The Finance Department and administration should be made aware of deposit issues in a timely manner, but not the Internal Audit Department. Okay. A no accepted cash policy was implemented immediately after the incident. Infomark states that the controls, Mr. Morgan has put controls in place. I'm going to get with him on that.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Newsom has.
Mr. Duke, so let me back. So let me just make sure I'm following this correctly. So there were 4 envelopes.
Yes, sir.
So 3 of the envelopes were disconnect letters. Is
No,
that
3 of the envelopes was deposits.
what's that?
Was bank deposits.
All 4 were
Not cash, though. They weren't cash deposits.
all 4 were deposits that customers brought into the office, and for whatever reason, bill,
It could have been
checks, whatever, their bill. One was the $715.67 was cash. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So why 3 of the 4 envelopes were returned to the water department? Returned by who?
The customer, or whoever received them. I don't know who it was.
It was the post office.
Yeah, the post office probably. Yeah, that makes sense.
The 4 bags were put in the mail bag that actually went to the post office.
And it should not have been done that way.
Correct.
It should have went to the bank.
It should, right. Right. The 4 bags were inadvertently, from the report, put in the mail bag with the rest of the mail, and then everything went to the post office.
Okay.
And then the post office returned 3 of the 4 bags
So,
back to the water department.
so
That's the way I understand the
so the
report.
4th envelope never got, the 4th envelope with the $700.
Never was returned, according to the report, yes.
So, never, so who knows where it went? Right? We don't have no idea when. It could be sitting in the post office, it could be sitting, who knows?
Somebody's bank account.
Right, yeah, somebody.
Okay, so it might have got returned, but it just didn't get, somebody might have got to the mailbox early that day. Could that have happened and they saw it? I know you're not going to speculate on what happened, but yeah, that's a huge issue. So, all right, I'm clear on it now. Thank you.
Mr. Jursich.
Yes, I'm just curious, Miss Bartholomew paid this money back. If she didn't have nothing to do with it, should she have paid this money back? I mean, this just draws kind of, if I just feel like, if she did it out of the goodness of her heart to make it right.
Let me just say this. She was off the day before, and when she came to work, the deposit bag was there. the post office bag was there. She was unaware that the 4 envelopes had been placed in the bag. So she just went, they normally just drop the mail at the post office. When she realized what happened, being the superintendent, she felt responsible. So that's why she took the responsibility of it and wrote a check to cover the cash that was missing.
I mean, but, I mean, if I'm not guilty, I mean, I guess she felt guilty, but she didn't put the envelopes in the bag. It was already in the bag.
It was in the bag.
So was that envelope ever in that bag? Would be a question. Did that envelope ever make it to the
I
bag?
don't know. When she met with me, she explained it to me, and she just felt like being the superintendent of the department, she felt responsible, and she just replaced it.
Because if it had the same address as the other 3, that envelope should have came back. So it may not have made it in the bag.
Now, this wasn't, let's be straight, this wasn't envelopes that were being mailed. These were just deposits.
Okay, deposit.
Those 4 were deposits that were supposed to be going to the bank that was placed in that bag.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Do we do a report, daily report on, checks or amounts received during the day, put in an envelope? That's normally how I see it's done, is amount received, put in an envelope, somebody counts or adds up all the deposits, and basically that's a normal control. Was that not done the day before?
No, all of that was done,
It was
and all of
all-
that was
so
in the
they-
bags.
so-
All of that was recorded. It's just these 4 bags were scooped up and put in the mail bag instead of set on the side to go to the bank.
My question is, when does the mail bag go out to the mail? Because to me, that should have been stopped. Once we realized there was a difference, okay, stop all work, let's find where these envelopes are. You know what I'm saying? Because how much was in the other 3 envelopes? Do we know? Do we have that record, Mr. Duke?
No, I don't.
Because that could have been potentially thousands of dollars. So if we were off, we got lucky that the post office returned it.
Right.
If we were off, everything in the office should have stopped, and we should try to trace it down right then and there. Not,
We have a timing difference here.
yeah.
The
Well,
timing difference is that Ms. Bartholomew did not report this. Well, the finance department, when they got all of the documents for that deposit period and started balancing it out, they realized they were missing some money. They immediately contacted Ms. Bartholomew at that point. And that's when she said, hey, wait a second, I made a mistake, et cetera. That's the way I understand it from Ms. Gutner, the finance manager, the assistant finance manager.
because what I've seen done in other governments is, okay, let's say we collect $5,000 today, according to the computer log, is at the end of the day, we make somebody within the water department, before they put it in an envelope, somebody else counts all that money or checks and says, okay, we match, here's the log. I get the time difference with finance. That's later, but that should have been a red flag right then and there at the end of the day, that we weren't matching, the end of day report was not matching up to what we had on hand for deposit. So I mean, it is what it is. We just got lucky because we don't know how much was in the other 3 envelopes.
All of that is recorded, the way I understand it. All of those checks and all of those reports and checks and balances were done prior to the deposits being put in the bag and ready to be sent to the bank, which inadvertently they weren't. They were sent to the post office.
Okay, Mr.
And
Well, I want to ask one more question. Do we have bond or insurance on our water department employees? Like for cases like this? I know that's a statewide AUP for people that collect cash, is that we have either bonds that for stuff like this that, or are we getting there, Mr. Duke?
I believe, I'll have to check my work papers for prior audits. I believe I've already checked that, and I think they do.
Okay.
I don't
And-
have that knowledge.
Then that would go back to Mr. Juris's question. Should Ms. Bartholomew have paid that back? I get it, she felt bad because she's the department, but that's the whole purpose of insurance or bond, is mistakes happen. And okay, Mr. Jurisich.
I just wanted to kind of reiterate on what Chris talked about. My businesses, At the end of the day, all the receipts, everything gets counted out, added up. Money has to match at the end of the day. And if it didn't, if y'all don't do that policy, that's a policy y'all need to do. You need to, at the end of the day, it needs to be tallied up and counted and be sure everything is in place. And apparently that didn't happen the day before because they'd have found that missing money. And that's, you know, that's the way most people do business. At
the end of the day, you should count it out. If it doesn't match, nobody leaves until we figure out what happened. The mail should not go out until the next day, and so should the bank, because, okay, mail back here, this back here, everything should match up. And then basically the next day, that's when you go make your deposit, go deposit the mail. And like I said, if that's not being done like it is, we need to work on those. I know he's reviewing the policies and procedures right now from Infomark, and again, a lot's changed with Infomark versus what we were doing. So we just need to make sure, because again, that would have been where they would have caught that the money was missing. And then when they went to deposit it, they should have got a deposit receipt and said, okay, brought it back to Angela and said, hey, here's my deposit slip. Does it match? Yes. Okay. And that should have been caught right then and there. That's the way I normally see it.
With the issue of balancing, all of that, what it sounds like, all of that was done when the deposits were being prepared. And all of the deposits, all of the receipts, all of the cash taken in, and all of the applications balanced when they prepared the deposits. All of that just didn't make it to the bank.
Yep.
That's the way I understood it.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just thinking how we can correct this going forward. Because, okay. Next item. Observation 2.
Number 2, this is the new billing system, software system, / internal controls. Here we go. Let's see. The Water Department Internal Auditor reported on February 29th, 2019, as well as April 9th, 2024, recommended that the current legacy water billing system be upgraded and replaced with a new software system before the current system became obsolete and could cause adverse events to happen to the parish. Recommendations. Infomark consultant states, what requirement of the new billing system should be to flag Plaquemines Parish employee accounts? All employees. This helps when dealing with customers and you know that they are an employee. Plus, more importantly, you can develop reports based on an employee field to check audit trails, rates, and payment status. I think that's a good one. Internal auditor states there should be written procedures in place for processing receipts, billings, and customer meter deposits. I'm going to have to get with Mr. Morgan on this again. The accounts receivable balance in the general ledger should be reconciled monthly with the detailed customer listing accounts. The meter deposit bank account balances should be reconciled monthly with the detailed listing of a customer's meter deposits. The units of water should be reconciled monthly with the units of water billed to customers. That's something that's very serious. The utility clerk performs a variety of duties relating to receivables and customer meter deposits that are compatible with a proper system of checks and balances. Segregation of duties. The entity's cutoff policies and procedures should ensure that all delinquent accounts are collected on a timely basis, or service is discontinued and enforced. Aggressive action to collect delinquent accounts, including legal action when necessary is taken or a collection agency is used. Management should not be able to grant customers extensions to customers. Uncollectible customer accounts should only be written off with proper approval. Independent consultant states, Director of Public Service states, he and Mr. Morgan and the consultant are currently reviewing software vendors for new software for the billing department. The independent consultant states only senior management should have the ability to grant extensions. and demonstrate the need and ability to pay.
I want to quickly ask one quick question on this. At this point, since it's outsourced to Infomark, who has the approval to grant extensions or waive fees or anything? Is that you? Is that Robert? Is that, I mean, who, because I know 2023 when we, had waived the fees for the saltwater intrusion, the external auditor kind of got onto us on that. So my question is, who at this point, since it's not done within the parish, has the approval to grant? I just want to know.
Mr. Morgan and I do have conversations setting guidelines
Okay.
as far as customer refunds or extensions. But we have talked about setting some policies, and we have set some policies. If it's out of the ordinary, Mr. Morgan does come to me.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, policies and procedures manual. There again, Mr. Morgan has stated he's put policies in place, and I'm working with him on that. Director of Administration states that the policies are in place. Employee username and password. It appears that they were being shared, which is not good. That caused a lot of these issues, I think. To prevent, my recommendation is to prevent unauthorized access to the water department's billing system. As we all know, usernames and passwords should be confidential and kept in a secure place. And Director of Public Service states new software should address this issue. Good. Infomark Manager has established policies to take care of this. I'm working with him on this. I'm going to talk to him about this again. Independent consultant for Infomark states that should never be available to anyone at any time. Utilizing a new system with proper security, the user should only be the one who knows and changes their password. If the employee is terminated, the account has to be locked out immediately. There's no need for anyone to have anybody else's user ID and password.
So I want to ask a question, and this is more going to the new software, because I've seen it done in other places, especially how much money flows to the water department. Have we looked into, because you can buy a fingerprint scanner and hook up to your computer, biometrics, that way whenever anybody goes to collect a payment, they have to basically log in right then and there, and then it times out after like a minute or two of no activity. That way it's clear. You can't share password and stuff if it's fingerprint. And I've seen it done elsewhere where it's just a quick fingerprint, it logs them in, and bam. Have we looked into that with the new software?
We are, yes, I am working with the consultant along with Mr. Morgan and the water billing superintendent to all of those options are available with the new software systems, and we'll try and choose the one with the most bells and whistles.
Okay, thank you.
Infomark contract. When I reviewed the contract, there was no specific detailed audit clause written in the PPG contract. However, I did note, along with the Director of Public Service, which states the Infomark contract does state that any and all documents requested must be submitted to PPG. But that's not enough. I think the internal auditor has to have unhindered, and it has to state this in a contract, and a lot of them do, unhindered access to all records, all properties, all personnel, everything, and there should never be a question, not just documents. Okay.
I'm going to ask, Hava, you were on the council back then, didn't Mr. Roussel have an ordinance that basically all contracts going forward has that clause in there?
Yes, sir.
All right. So any contract going forward, administration, we need to make sure that that isn't the right to audit clause is in there for money receipt or dealing with parish funds, because I thought that, I remember that meeting. I forgot what it was. I think it was with the recreation or maybe
Yeah, the-
something. It was something small at that time, but y'all passed an ordinance shortly after saying all contracts going forward.
Concession stands.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Okay, so thank you.
A record storage room. When I examined the water department record storage room, I noticed that it was severely disorganized. My recommendation is that it needs to be reorganized and put in good working order. And everything needs to be complete. All records need to be complete. It would be very difficult for an outside auditor to review these records. Therefore, probably they would issue a scope limitation and maybe even withdraw from the audit. Director of Public Service states legal department is currently reviewing the requirements for record and retention. This has been going on. They've been reviewing this probably for 6 or 7 years since I've been here. Infomark manager states PPG Infomark is currently addressing the issue. Independent consultant states additionally the new billing system should have the ability to attach customer records. This is good. Like the ID, lease, and other pertinent information, and stored and not stored. Everything should be digital in paper form.
All right, Mr. Newsom. Oh wait, hold on. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that, I know we're getting close to the end of it, but Ms. Duke, I want to thank you on the extensive audit. I know this is something that, as Mr. Schultz put it, a lot of money flows through the water department, which it's, it was a very extensive audit. And I know you spent a lot of time, and we kind of threw this on you in December. And
Well, I try to do extensive audits all the time.
yes, and this is, like I said, front and back pages. I don't know a lot. So again, I just want to extend my thanks, and
thank you.
and it brought a lot of light to the committee, to the administration, and to the public, which is ultimately who we have to answer to. So again,
Absolutely.
thank you, Mr. Duke.
Yeah.
Mr. Jurisich.
So I did hear you right. You said legal department's been working on reviewing requirements for record and data retention for 6 years.
For a long time. This was brought up originally several years ago by Mr. Gui, who wanted to look into this. And I did. It was probably at least 4 years ago, maybe 5.
I know our legal staff right now is kind of, running around trying to catch up with things. They got a lot on their plate, but I think we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to complete this.
The several businesses I've been involved in regarding record retention in pharmacy, and now with the water billing, state regulations, federal regulations, they're all over the place with how many years you're required, and every other entity that has their hands in the regulations of these types of businesses all have their different requirements of the years of record retention. And I've been asking legal, and I'm not throwing, legal's been looking into it. It's just that they haven't found any set guidelines on how many years of retentions we need to hold on to. I'll continue to work with them because, like Mr. Duke said, there's stacks and stacks of records. I'm hoping we can start filing through those and start getting rid of those and start get some guidelines on how long we have to retain these records.
I would think, couldn't the parish come up with a set standard? Usually, I know
Based on state regulations.
Yeah, 5 years, yeah, something like that. I know, So I think we need to just go ahead and set that, and that way we can keep it
If we're able to, as a local government, I know. I just pulling from my knowledge of pharmacy, State Board of Pharmacy only required us to keep 2 years of records of prescriptions, but then the insurance companies and CMS required us to keep them for 10 years. Well, sometimes it's 7 years, 10 years, you go back to 7 years. So some of the regulations hop around, but which one supersedes the other? Sometimes it's a gray area.
Okay.
So going forward, once a month at either meeting, please give us an update on the status of the new water billing system.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of this could be resolved with that system, so I don't want that to get dropped
Oh, it won't.
or anything. So if you could give us an update at the council during your director's update once a month. We don't need to hear every 2 weeks, but at least once a month.
I do know going through these software changes that it's a long process
going
of
through the
importing,
process.
exporting,
But I want to know when we're
patient
starting
records.
the process. I
Right.
want to know when we selected the company,
Absolutely.
the software, and when we start. I know software conversions could take up to 3 months sometimes, if not longer.
That's
depending
a
on-
quick
Yeah, that's a quick
conversion,
one.
yeah.
That's accounting software conversion, but
Right,
this is a
right.
little bit different.
You're
with
talking,
records. And
thousands of patient records, yeah.
so if you could start giving us an update once a month,
Will do.
even after, once we select a company and everything, say, hey, we're 10% done, we're working on this, we anticipate X date, and then just give it, that way we know what's going on, especially with the seriousness of this and how a good software could resolve probably 3 or 4 of the findings.
Will
So,
do.
thank you. Mr. Jursich.
Yes, Mr. Duke, I do want to thank you very, very much. I know this is definitely, it's this criminal situation, and, just,
Could have been
Need it.
worse.
huh?
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Well, let's be thankful it wasn't, because, we first came to you, it looked bad.
I agree.
So I want to thank you
And
again.
me too.
Thank you very much, yeah.
All right, everybody you done with this report? All right, next item, please, Ms. Hoops.
3, audits in progress. 3A, professional services audit.
I have that scheduled for August 15th, as well as the mosquito control. Both of them are scheduled for August 15th, but as normal, I just give myself some leeway, and they'll probably come out. The professional services will come out way before then.
Okay.
The other one, no later than August 15th. I just like to give I know it sounds like a long time, but I want to be
I know.
thorough, and I want to make sure that I feel comfortable with it before I put it out.
I want the mosquito control one because that's one of the main complaints that we get every day. I did see it move. The truck was moved from the parking spot that it normally parks in. So I know they went last night somewhere because they park where I pass by it almost every day. So I did see it was in a different parking spot. So, all right, next item.
4, approval of the minutes of the October 10th, 2024 meeting.
Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Jursich. Machines are open. Passes 3-0. Next item, please.
Adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Jursich. Machines are open. Wait, hold on before I vote. Did y'all want to add anything, Jeff or Ms. Taylor, about anything going on with y'all's audits or no? I just want to make sure public comment. All right. We have adjournment at 10:29 a.m.